So I have this proposal. I propose that USPS or whoever come up with a way to standardize how homes are addressed, how addresses are placed on homes, I guess I should say. Right now, the way that people address their homes is probably the biggest barrier to my delivery process. Oftentimes I'll go to homes and I can't even find an address. Like, I literally have to try to zoom in on whatever the navigation system is for that delivery, or Google Maps. Sometimes I'll exit out and go on Google Maps just to try to find the home because they don't have an address on them. And that makes it incredibly difficult for me to make a delivery. Sometimes there are actual numbers on the house, but they are in an unconventional location. It could be like on the ground. Sometimes people will have it like on their lamppost and they're sideways. Sometimes people will have it above their garage. Sometimes people will have their numbers in cursive. So there are all these challenges that come with trying to identify where I'm taking this package to, because the homes are not standardized in terms of the address. You know, gone are the days of where deliveries are only made by USPS. Those people, they have their set routes, they have their vehicles, they have their uniforms, so people know who they are. Me coming as an independent contractor using my own vehicle, I've had a lot of situations where people were just like, who are you? Like, this strange vehicle coming and I don't know who you are. I did talk about possibly getting, signs for my car, but I didn't want to put a target on my back. So often, you have these deliveries that are being made by independent contractors in their own vehicles, and the people receiving these deliveries often, even in this day and age, often don't realize that independent contractors are the ones making these deliveries and not, in a company vehicle such as like an Amazon or a FedEx or whatever. So in those situations where I'm approaching these homes, it gets kind of hairy because they don't know who I am. And sometimes people can get aggressive when they don't know who is in their yard or whatever. So I try to use, and I mentioned this in a previous video, I try to use as many safety precautions as I can. For example, putting my flashers on, my hazard lights, approaching the home slowly and walking away from the home slowly. Even when I'm in a rush, there are situations where I will intentionally and deliberately move slowly so that someone doesn't suspect me for some robber or whatever. So that is just a safety precaution that I use. But because the person's house isn't addressed properly, actually they are making me appear to be more suspicious than I am. And they were the ones who asked for this item to be delivered to their home. So that is a challenge for me. I don't know if you follow these other YouTubers. There's one like a firefighter, EMT, and he even talks about using standardized and extra large fonts when it comes to addressing your homes, because it makes it easier for them to find your house in the event of emergency. So, delivery drivers aren't the only ones who could benefit from having standardized housing addresses. Even if you want to just make it larger for the sake of, you might have an elderly parent or whatever, people coming to your house to help them, being able to find the actual house would make things a whole heck of a lot easier. So what might a standardization process look like? Maybe it could be something to the effect of having a minimum size amount for homes that have the mailboxes at the curb. It would be nice if those were addressed, like, what is this, like 2-3 inches big, so that you can see and from both sides. You can see it from a distance and you know where you're going. For homes who have mailboxes on their house, maybe there could also be an address on the curb. I don't know if you've seen those where it's painted onto the curb. So that way you have it at the curb, at the street level, and then you also have it like physically on the house. And when it's on the house, if you're looking at the house, like for example, like a 2D flat elevation, where it can be within like 6 feet or so, like if you have your door and then like within so many feet of the door, so that way it's easily identifiable. Well, wherever it's going to be, it has to be large enough and at a specific area around the house. That's my thinking, because I've gone to houses where I guess they thought it was properly identified, but it was like right above the sidewalk. Like, I'm not even looking above the sidewalk by your house for your address. That's just kind of my thinking. I don't want to make things difficult for people. We're beyond USPS only deliveries, and now we have these independent contractors. So it would be nice, and I think we ought to move to a more standardized system for putting the addresses on homes. So we use standardization when it comes to light bulbs, when it comes to just about everything else. I think this is just something that could just fall in line with what we're already doing with every other industry. We could elevate the whole delivery industry by making it easier for delivery drivers to find the homes, make the drops, and move on. So that's my take. I think in my opinion, that will help us as delivery drivers, as well as helping other industries such as first responders. Okay, so you guys get my point. I think the house numbers should be standardized, and I definitely feel like this could be a benefit to everyone involved, even people just visiting homes. So if you've ever had any issues with deliveries because of the addresses, let me know. Thank you for being here, and I will see you in the next one. I found this on a quick Google search. Apparently there are regulations. So this is from the website howtolookatahouse.com, and this is their article, Are House Numbers Required by Law on the Front of a House? This is actually from 2018, and this is from the city of Gainesville. It says here the requirement to have house address numbers is almost universally required by municipal ordinances. Each city or county has a slightly different standard, but their intentions are the same, that your house numbers be clearly visible from the street so that the police, paramedics, or a fire engine responding to your 911 emergency call can locate the right house. The numbers do not have to be on the house itself. They can be on a mailbox, fence, or post in front of the home. The minimum height of the numbers in the city of Gainesville is 3 inches. In Alachua County, it's 4 inches. So they are already indicating, let's see, 3 inches here, 4 inches here. They're already indicating the size. So if this were the area that I visit often, they would be in violation. Alrighty. Let's read on. There are also typically specifications on the minimum width of the stroke of each number, and that there be sufficient contrast between the numbers in the background for them to be easily readable. Again, I have seen too many homes where the actual numbers match the background, or the background is super close, like the numbers are black, but then the background is dark brown. All of this may seem like another example of government's intrusion on the right of a private citizen to use their own property without interference, until your spouse has a heart attack in the middle of the night and an emergency paramedic van goes screaming by the house, then has to turn around and double back using a searchlight to try to find your house number. Also, a common problem that emergency responders have in locating a house is that the numbers are there but have been obscured by foliage growth over time, like in the photo at the top of the page. Here's an excerpt from the city of Gainesville's ordinance, section 23-30, posting of numbers. New and existing buildings shall have approved numbers placed in a position to be plainly legible and visible from the street or road fronting the property, whether or not mail is delivered to such building or property. These numbers shall contrast with their background. Address numbers shall be Arabic numerals or alphabet letters. It shall be the duty of the owners of each building in the incorporated area to post the assigned building number on the property in the following manner. 1. The building address number shall be affixed to the front of the building or to a separate structure in front of the building, such as mailbox, post, wall, fence, etc., in such a manner so as to be clearly visible and legible from the public or private way on which the building fronts. 2. Numerals shall be Arabic and shall not be less than 3 inches in height and 1/2 inch in stroke width for residential buildings, structures, or portions thereof, and at least 6 inches in height for all other buildings, structures, or portions thereof. Where address identification is required by the fire official on other elevations of buildings, structures, or portions thereof, Such numerals shall not be less than 3 inches in height for residential and at least 6 inches in height for all other buildings, structures, or portions thereof. Existing numbers may be exempt if approved by the city fire inspector. Okay, so the fire inspector is the person responsible. Okay. The numerals shall be of a contrasting color with the immediate background of the building or structure on which such numerals are affixed. All right, I'm going to stop right there. So there are regulations in place, but I guess some people are just in violation of that. All right, I just wanted to add that in.